evening. We bring you the latest in the world of sports. My name is Boom Gonzalez.
And we give you the conversations you want to hear from your favorite icons and athletes. I'm Jet Manuel. In tonight's game plan, with the 2020 Tokyo Olympics officially finished, the country welcomes back some of our national heroes arriving home as we look back at our country's most successful Olympic campaign in history.
We'll also find out how crucial Tots is to Creamline's success, and we'll break down the performances of Creamline and Petrogas in the semifinals of the Premier Volleyball League. And Chery Tiggo forces a do-or-die Game 3 tomorrow versus Choco Mucho. Now, how far can the Santiago sisters lead the crossovers? Buckle up, sports fans. Let's get in the game. Hello and good evening. After 2 weeks of competition featuring the world's greatest athletes from over 200 nations, the Tokyo 2020 Summer Olympics rolled the curtains this past weekend. More than 10,000 athletes represented their country to create a legacy for themselves. And 19 of our finest wrote their own part of history, as the Philippines finished with our most successful campaign in history. Leading the way for our representatives are the 4 medalists who climbed all the way to the top to wave the Philippine flag at the highest level. From Heidelin Diaz and her golden lift to the fighting spirit of our national boxers Yumir Marshal, Nesty Petesio, and Carlo Paalam. The Philippines officially finished at the 50th spot to capture the country's best Olympic ranking in over 30 years. Now, with over 4 medalists, 4 finalists, 1 trip to the semis, and 2 new national records, let's take a look back at some of the most amazing moments from our 19 heroic athletes. And obviously, we have to kick off with our country's one and only queen, Heidelin Diaz, finally grabbing that elusive first ever gold medal for the Philippines, while setting a new Olympic record in the finals.
That was actually my favorite moment. Boom, let's not forget, it took Heidelin 4 trips to the Olympics. And like many of our athletes, she had to go through so much up and downs. And the moment she lifted that bar above her head, she realized that it was historic for her, and not only for her, but for her country.
Your favorite moment
Exactly.
was the golden lift.
The golden lift of Heidelin. Of course, that's our first medal, I think, officially for us.
Right.
And when she lifted that, I think the pictures, the videos, everything, I still have goosebumps talking about it. Right. When she raised the bar and she locked it up on top of her head, parang she realized already that that was it. That was for the country, all her hard work, and that just brought goosebumps down my spine. It was just a moment for me as an athlete, as a Filipino. It's something I'll never forget.
And she started bawling even before bringing down the barbell.
Yeah.
And also the other thing, obviously the moment of singing and hearing our Philippine national anthem and the effect on the other athletes, that's another big one. Now, speaking of, when Heidelin lifted the nation that night, it gave a boost to her fellow kababayans competing in Tokyo. At kitang-kita naman natin how inspired our national boxing team was in their own historic run to multiple medal finishes. Yumir Marshal grabbing that bronze. Both Nesty Petesio and Carlo Paalam finishing with a pair of silver medals on the podium. And let's not forget, the pride of Iloilo, Irish Magno, capturing a win as well.
As spectators, you couldn't help but feel like we were all gathering to watch Manny Pacquiao or Nonito Donaire's latest title fight, as this time it was happening every other day, each and every match. Just kept getting more and more exciting as the stakes grew higher and higher.
That's a good point. I didn't really think about that it was happening every other day, unlike...
And you were covering every day.
I had the pleasure and the absolute honor, of course, with a lot of our colleagues. And my personal favorite part was Carlo Palam getting his medal, his silver medal, staring at the medal right away. Initially, I didn't know what it was all about. I thought he was just looking at details and, just savoring the moment. But apparently, it was very symbolic for him in the sense that, he knew that the medals are all made of recycled phones, and it reminded him of his scavenging ways.
His past.
Right,
and
his past.
How he grew into that moment. I think everything just led up to that. And it was just beautiful to watch. I mean, these athletes, they prepare for so long and to perform on such a big stage. And sometimes it's just, out of proportion on how we, as just normal spectators, can just absorb it all.
And it was an incredibly emotional moment too. And of course, props to the other boxers, Ymir Marshall, Nesty Petesio, and even the very young Irish Magno, who has such major promise in more competitions to come. And speaking of, medals aren't the only measure of success, as several of our national athletes stood toe-to-toe with the world's very best in the final stages of their respective competitions. Gymnast Carlos Yulo's Olympic debut put the world on notice as he finished fourth in the men's vault finals as the youngest competitor. Pole vaulter EJ Obiena finished 11th and reached the finals of the men's pole vault competition. Weightlifter Elrin Ando and skateboarder Marjolin Didal would finish at 7th in their events, while golfer Yuka Sasso and boxer Irish Magno, the aforementioned boxer, would close their campaigns at 9th place.
When you hear those numbers, let's not forget that these athletes competed against the best of the best from all over the world, and for them to be among the global elite is already a victory, and that goes for the same for our 19 amazing representatives in Tokyo. Gusto ko lang din sana mag-shoutout kay Marjolin Didal because she may not have won a medal, but everyone saw how she won the hearts of everyone in that skating competition. Just an amazing showcase of talent and heart of the Filipino athlete.
Speaking of Olympic heroes, our national boxing team arrived earlier today and was greeted to a hero's welcome after their amazing run at the 2020 Tokyo Olympics. Accompanied by POC President Representative Bambol Tolentino, the team was greeted by POC Vice President Al Panlilio, ABA President Ricky Vargas, and of course, Secretary General Ed Picson. With 3 of the country's 4 medal finishers coming from the boxing contingent, the team is hopeful for an even brighter future ahead of the program as they celebrate their well-deserved incentives from the government and the private sector.
And we'll check action from the semifinals of the Premier Volleyball League after the break. We'll find out how crucial Tots Carlos is to Creamline's success and break down, of course, the performances of Creamline and Petrogas in the semifinals. But before that, let's take one last look at the historic moments courtesy of our national athletes at the Tokyo 2020 Olympics. Stay tuned, you're watching The Game.
2 linggong lumaban. Binuhos ang pawis at binigay ang lahat. Isang pagkakataon para iangat ang bansa at ipakita ang lakas ng atletang Pilipino. Smiled in defeat, broke records, and never gave up. You defied all odds and went against the best. Truly, nothing could beat your brave heart. Sa bawat buhat, suntok, lundag, at galaw, kayo ang panalo. Salamat at ipinamalas nyo ang pusong Pinoy. Thank you and see you at the next games because now we are stronger. Congratulations, Team Philippines! Mabuhay kayong lahat!
Ai. Ai, can you hear me? Can you ask just 2 questions?
Yes po.
Okay, thank you, Ai.
Okay.
Sorry, had to clarify everything
It's
first.
okay po.
Okay, good luck.
And welcome back to the game. The Creamline Cool Smashers and the Petrogas Angels have been reliving 2019 as they face off in the past 2 games in the semis. After Creamline snatched that first game in 5 thrilling sets, Creamline won the second game and advanced to the finals. To give us a wrap-up of today's semi matches, let us check in with our PVL correspondent, Ai Tinsay. Ai, what's the latest and first in the first only professional volleyball league?
Yes, good evening, Boom and Jet. Here with me is team captain of the Creamline Cool Smashers, Eliza Valdez. Good evening, Eliza.
Hi, Ai. Good evening, Boom.
There, I have a question for you. Eliza, how does it feel that in a matter of weeks, you made it to the finals? This is a different setup. It's the new normal. We're here in Ilocos, away from the fans, away from our families, but then you still managed to do it the same way you did in PVL 2019. How does it feel all in all to be now in the finals?
Well, we're really happy that our training has been paying off.
Yes.
And we're just glad that we got the ticket for the finals na, and hindi pa, sabi nga ng mga teammates namin, hindi pa tapos yung journey namin dito, at magsisimula pa rin talaga pagdating ng finals.
Another question I have for you, nakatulong ba na nakalaban niyo yung Petrogas Angels? I know that it's a different roster from PVL 2019, but it's a similar system of Coach Arnold. So kumbaga, nasanay ba kayo, and now it's better that you face them in 3 matches and now you swept them in the last match?
We're so glad na meron kaming history with Petrogas.
Yes.
I think it's really the maganda yung balance ng team nila as
Yes.
of the moment also. But one thing that worked for us is really the adjustment of our coaches, our coaching staff. And I think kung sino kasing mas mabilis mag-adjust and
Yes.
sino yung magsistick sa game plan, I think yun yung mag-a-advance. And luckily, unfortunately, nagawa namin yung mga strategies and
Yes.
nag-stick kami sa plan ng coaches namin.
Yes, and that's what I saw, Eliza. For the entire match, for all the sets, talagang dumikit kayo sa consistency, sa game plan, with your mantra, happy, happy. Every single time that you guys nagsuspike kayo, talagang lahat kayo nag-hug, masaya. Parang like what Tots said, kanina POG siya, she said she's speechless. Kasi daw hindi man lang yun naiisip yung talagang technical strategy. It's just because she's playing out of happiness. Dahil lumalabas yun sa court, nakikita yung dominance nyo.
Yes, definitely. And we're just really happy with all the maturity of my teammates and yung guidance ng coaches namin. I think everyone's really working together, and I think when we work together, it will work out in the end. So hopefully, simula pa lang and mas madami pa kaming magandang games and mabigyan namin ng magandang games yung kalaban namin.
Thank you very much,
Thank you.
Eliza Valdez of the Creamline Cool Smashers. See you in the finals.
Thank you, Ai.
All right, thank you very much, Ai Tinsay, talking to, of course, the phenom right there, Eliza Valdez. Ai, great job, and we'll let you rest so that you can come back tomorrow for the do or die match between Choco Mucho and Chery Tiggo. And please congratulate Eliza and the rest of the Creamline Cool Smashers for us. Thank you, Ai.
Thank you, Ai.
Thank you, Boom and Jet. Have a good evening.
You too.
You too. And now with the explosive performance of Creamline outside hitter Tots Carlos, the question is she just what Creamline needs to win the championship in the first professional season of the PVL? And to help us answer that and break down the performances of both Creamline and Petrogas, joining us is PVL commentator, the amazing Billy Capistrano.
Yon!
Na-shock naman ako
Welcome,
sa
Billy.
amazing. Hello! Hi, Jet. Hi, Boo.
We are contractually obligated to say
Kaya pala.
amazing.
Ako lang to. Ako lang to.
We're kidding. Well, good to see you.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead, Jet.
Okay, so your thoughts initially, I mean, you have, of course, you've seen the games. I just want to know from the start, what are your initial impressions and what can you say about to lead us in?
Especially the semifinals.
In the semifinals.
Now,
For
getting
Tots
into the
Carlos,
final.
or where do we start?
Let's start with the semifinals
Ready,
first.
ready.
Nakapasok na yung Creamline after that win, and then tomorrow, the do or die match. Let's talk about Creamline real quick. How did they do this?
Well, you know, Boom, in the Creamline versus Petrogas game, it could have gone to anybody.
Right.
You know, I know you watched that game also.
Yep.
Jet, I know you watched that game
Of course.
also. So it was very exciting, but I feel like with Creamline, it was just that championship experience, that maturity and the stability that their core players bring sa team nila. And of course, Tots Carlos, how can we forget? She exploded for 23 points, and I'm sure in that second game, boom, I wasn't able to watch it. I was here, but I know that she did pretty well as well.
Let's talk about Creamline. They were a little bit off, I think, in the first few games. But how do you think they bounced back? How do you think they recovered? What maybe adjustments did they do?
Especially today, dahil nakatatlong
Yeah.
set lang sila
Straight.
compared to the 5-setter the last time out.
Yun nga, I know that Creamline na madaming instances, hindi man madami, but then in previous games, they were almost victims of upsets. We know that Mamba Army team also, and Perla Spikers, you know, they almost lost that game but didn't. And I think it's because of their core. Gia Morado, Eliza Valdez, and Michelle Gumabao, they're all, you know, stable leaders on the court, especially Eliza. I mean, it's Eliza Valdez, diba?
Right, right.
What can you
Of
say
course.
about Eliza Valdez?
What can't
Hello.
not be?
Okay, now that Petrogas has ended
Yes.
their campaign, you can put a postscript on how they've been, how challenging it has been, and what kind of challenge they presented to Creamline. Pinahirapan sila. I know it was just 3 sets, but there were
Right.
3 the first 2 sets were long sets, na-extend nga yung una. But just give us a wrap-up of the campaign of Petrogas, and how impressed were you?
I think, you know, with Petrogas coming into this conference, totally new roster. Tatlong players lang from the original 2019 roster yung natira, diba? So it was Rica Enclona, Jessie De Leon, and I know Chisait, their veteran OG setter na si Chisait. So totally new team. And a lot of people were questioning the chemistry that they were gonna bring to this conference. But surprisingly, actually hindi naman surprisingly, pero okay yung chemistry nila. And the thing with Petrogas also is yung bench nila, boom. Sobrang deep ng bench. At any given moment, someone can shine and step up. Like say, in that semifinals game 1, Milo was amazing. She was amazing. But Ria, you know, didn't have the best of her games. And I think she was also that missing link in that game. Pero doon naman sa 5th set, Myla kind of fizzled out in the end, but Ces Molina stepped up.
Okay, me and Jet want to find out, now that Creamline is in the finals, familiar territory
Oo
for them.
naman, Creamline pa ba?
Alam na natin gagawin ni Eliza at mga pinaggagawa niya were all of the stints in the finals. You talked about Tots Carlos. Who else is key?
Gemma Galanza, no
Okay.
doubt. Gemma
Okay.
Galanza, and of course, Gia Morado. She needs to be unpredictable coming into the final series. Because, you know, if you're the team to watch, everybody has their eyes on you.
Right.
So you need to be unpredictable. And I think that's one of the keys in their games na muntik na matalo. You know, everybody's studying Creamline. So you need to spice things up a little bit.
Okay.
Well, thank you, Billy. Always amazing having you here, and we hope to have you here again. So thank you. Thank you for joining
Thank
us
you.
tonight. And after the break, the Santiago Sisters lead Chery Tiggo in their Game 2 victory. We'll look ahead to the do or die Game 3 tomorrow between the Crossovers and Choco Mucho Flying Titans. Stay tuned. You're watching the game. And welcome back to the game. The Chery Tiggo Crossovers complete their 360 turn and get their own 3-set victory in Game 2 of their semi-final series versus Choco Mucho. After dropping the first game in 3 sets, the Santiago Sisters led the way for the Crossovers to force a do-or-die Game 3 against the Flying Titans. Dindin Santiago Manabat had 19 points, while her sister Jaja came through in the clutch and finished with 13 points. Buding Duremdes anchored the defense of Chery Tiggo with 27 excellent digs and 10 excellent receptions. It's time for us to break down the Choco Mucho versus Chery Tiggo semifinals matchup. Still with us and still here.
Natatawa siya eh.
Oo.
Kasi pinapaalis
Kaya
na
nga,
eh.
trabaho.
Pinawalis ko siya, tapos pinabalik ko
May
siya.
curfew kasi ngayon, kaya kailangan ko na umuwi.
Our discussion.
Hindi mo kilala, formal mo. Ano ba?
Hindi.
High
Inaayos
school
ko
pa
lang.
lang magkakilala.
Intro ko lang ulit. The Amazing again. Billy Capistrano.
Hello guys, I'm back!
It's nice.
Surprise!
Really, it's so nice to have you. Welcome back.
Welcome to the
Kakauwi
show.
ko lang, bumalik ako ulit.
Okay. Well, we can't finish this show
course.
without you, especially because we haven't talked about the other half
Siyempre
of the
naman,
semifinals.
yes.
Do or die tomorrow. Tindi nung ginawa nila
Yes.
today para makabawi. Your thoughts on game 2?
You know, simple lang naman yan, Boom. What Chocomucho did to Chery Tiggo in their previous game, prior to the one a while
Right.
ago, ginawa rin ng Chery Tiggo sa kanya. And that's, that's the gist of it. That's exactly what happened.
Parang baliktad, ano?
Yes.
The service, all the service, the blocks,
Lahat.
the aces, parang napunta doon
Pati yung
sa
top
kabila.
scorers nila, 3 people from Chery Tiggo in double digits, nangyari rin yun sa Chocomucho in their previous
In
game.
game one.
It was only Cat Tolentino who scored double digits for Chocomucho.
That's right.
Let me talk about the Santiago sisters. How impressive were they in this game?
I mean, they're always impressive, but of course, Jaja was not having, a good game in the semifinals game 1, and that's because of the service received. She wasn't, set up properly. I feel like she didn't have those good sets, and that's why she couldn't attack. And of course, she felt that, and that's why she wanted to bounce back. But expect them to just continue to propel their team to victory. I mean, that's what they do, right? And they're super eager to just show that they are the top scorers for this team, and that's their advantage.
Okay, so the other players, pag-usapan natin yan.
Right.
The Santiago sisters will do what they do, especially if they're set up well, especially if
Yes.
they receive the ball well, which is what you just pointed out. So, tinarget sila nung Chocomucho nung game 1. Sila Shaya, sila Maylin
Paat,
Paat,
yes.
diba? Tinarget yung... why was it so different today?
I think it was different because the defense stepped up. I
Mm-hmm.
mean, starting with Buding Duremdes, I think she had 27 excellent digs as compared to her 10 in their semifinals game 1. And that spelled all the difference. Also, Maylin Paat was excellent in digging, and Shaya Adorador sa receives naman. So yun talaga yung difference, yung defense ng team na to.
Okay, what worked for this game here? What worked for them in game 1 and what was missing in game 2?
For Chocomucho.
For Chocomucho, yeah.
Right.
Chocomucho naman, yun nga, baliktad lang yung nangyari. So the defense wasn't there, and also it was just Cat Tolentino, helping the offense for Chocomucho. Bea De Leon was missing, Madi Madayag. I mean, they did try, but then Chery Tiggo was just too much in this game.
It was uncharacteristic for them.
Definitely.
Okay, so what are your expectations for game number 3? That's my first question. The second question is, let's pick some players who you think will turn up in a do-or-die matchup.
Pwede bang all?
Hindi pwedeng all.
That's
Kuha lang
That's too
tayo ng
safe.
ano.
Pwede safe
Huhula,
That's why you're here,
Meron ba tayong
You have
fishbowl?
to, I always tell Jet, you name names.
You have to name names.
No, meron bang fishbowl? Tapos, coach,
Hindi.
coach pa sa
Okay, so expectations for tomorrow and then give us some names, Billy.
Expectations for tomorrow, masasabi ko lang, everybody, handa nyo na yung popcorn nyo. Alam nyo, it's gonna be a great game. Knowing the players of Chery Tiggo and Chocomucho, it's going to be explosive. That's all I'm gonna say. And imagine what they can do in the hours na meron sila to prepare for this game. Grabe eh. So
Less
you don't
than
know what to
24 hours.
Yeah, you don't know what to expect for tomorrow. And also the players naman, yung
Sige.
players. Ito yung ano eh. Imagine, hindi ko alam ang sasabihin. But
Yeah,
then,
let's get, and then, ito na lang, Billy, let's simplify it. Other than Kat and the
Right.
Santiago sisters,
Given
let's
na kasi
pick,
sila eh.
Right, let's pick a couple of key players from either team. Let's start with Chocomucho. In your
okay,
opinion lang.
I'll go back to what I was saying a while ago. It really boils down to defense.
Okay. So
Kasi-
Denden, ganon?
Yeah, Denden, excellent libero. But today she had 10 excellent digs compared to Buding's 27, right?
Okay.
I think Pongay should definitely step up. The open hitters, Regina Arocha and Pongay, because they will help receive.
yeah.
Okay.
Diba? Also naman for
Chery.
Chery Tiggo, same. Shaya Adorador, Maylin Paat, Buding Duremdes. They are
Okay.
the key factors. And of course, the setters are gonna be there as well.
Ano ba? 5 sets ba tayo bukas?
Sana.
Tignan natin yan, ang
Sana.
abangan nyo.
Sana.
Of course, a lot of exciting things to
Yes.
look forward to. Thank you, Billy,
Thank
for
you,
joining us
guys.
tonight. For sure na. Thank you talaga, Billy, for
Aalis na
joining
talaga
us.
ako this time.
And
Thank
thank you
you.
for everybody for joining us. I'm Jet Manuel.
And you can catch us weeknights here on One News, One Sports, and One Sports Plus. My name is Boom Gonzalez. Thanks for joining us. This has been The Game.